President Bashar al-Assad issued Legislative Decree number 9 of 2013 to set up primitive and appellate criminal courts in every governorate to consider supply issues. The President also issued Decree number 10 of 2013 stating the establishment of a financial public prosecution to consider crimes related to public his defense that the Syrian people will overcome stances. During his meeting with Prime Minister Ahmadinejad focused on the people for the Syrian crisis, saying that the only solution is by the cessation of violence and through national dialogue. The Iranian president called on the governments of both countries to boost cooperation relations between Syria and Iran. For his part, Prime Minister al-Halaqi briefed the Iranian president on terrorism targeting Syria, which is supported by regional and international powers, asserting the Syrian people's ability to face it thanks to the national unity. Bilateral relations were reviewed during the meeting, especially concerning economic and financial cooperation, as well as providing gas, fuel oil and oil derivatives, and the support of electric power. Prime Minister Dr. al-Halaqi underlined during the concluding meeting held in Tehran between the Syrian and Iranian delegations the importance of the Syrian visit to Iran in strengthening relations between the two countries. For his part, the first Vice Iranian President Dr. Mohammad Rida Rahimi renewed Iran's support to the political program to solve the crisis in Syria. At the end of the meeting, the two sides signed a number of agreements and joint contracts that included a $5 billion credit line agreement between the Commercial Bank of Syria and the Iranian Exports Promotion Bank. The two sides also signed 7 contracts in the fields of energy transfer and electricity equipment. The Minister of Electricity said that the contracts included 50 million euros to build a power generation plant on the Syrian coast, in addition to investments in wind energy. Speaker of the Iranian Shura Council Ali Larijani stressed the importance of the political program launched by President Bashar al-Assad to solve the crisis in Syria, voicing Iran's support to solve the crisis on the basis of dialogue and political means. In a meeting with Premier al-Halaqi and the accompanying delegation, Larijani expressed Iran's commitment to stand by Syria on all levels. For his part, Dr. al-Halaqi said that Syria is facing economic pressures and several challenges in the oil, gas and electricity sectors because of its commitment to its national stances and supporting the resistance. He hailed the achievements of the armed forces in the face of terrorist groups, stressing that Syria will achieve victory in its battle against terrorism thanks to the unity of its people and the support of its friends. Al-Halaqi expressed gratitude to Iran's leadership and people for their stances in support of the Syrian people in the face of terrorism. The General Command of the Army and Armed Forces said that the armed terrorist groups committed on Tuesday a new crime that claimed the lives of scores of people, targeting Aleppo University by rocket shells from a Layramoun area, which prompted the army to hit back against the gatherings of terrorists in the area. Foreign and Expatriates Ministry called upon the United Nations and the UN Security Council member states to condemn the terrorist crimes in Syria, including the massacre committed against Aleppo University students, employees and citizens who took refuge there. In 2 identical letters to the President of the United Nations Security Council and the UN Secretary General, the ministry said that on Tuesday, January 15, 2013, the armed terrorist groups targeted the University of Aleppo with 2 rocket shells from a Layramoun neighborhood, killing 82 students and injuring hundreds others. It added that the terrorist attack caused damage to the university dormitory, which the Syrian Arab government used part of it to shelter the displaced people who were exposed to the bombardment of the terrorist groups that attacked Aleppo city and destroyed a lot of its economic and historic features over the past months. The letters noted that the aggression on Aleppo University was not the first of its kind against educational institutions, as these criminals destroyed more than 2,362 schools and killed dozens of innocent children and teachers inside them. The ministry pointed out that the UN Security Council failed to condemn this terrorism till now, ignoring its relevant resolutions in this regard and the will of the international community to eliminate its committers and supporters. Terrorists detonated 2 booby-trapped cars loaded with large quantities of explosives in Idlib, causing several casualties and injuring a number of citizens. The first explosion took place in al-Zira'a Square and the second in al-Mutlaq Square. 22 citizens were killed as a result and 30 others were wounded. Huge material damage was inflicted also on houses and the infrastructure. Meanwhile, an army unit destroyed 2 booby-trapped cars driven by suicidal terrorists on Idlib al-Mastoumi Road in the governorate suburbs. Authorities seized a warehouse for explosive devices in a farm in Khatmalo village in Al Salamiya suburbs in Hama, containing 18 explosive charges weighing between 20 and 150 kilograms. The engineering units dismantled the charges that had been made by the terrorists in the form of iron cylinders and barrels stuffed with highly explosive materials. In Tayyibt al-Imam in Hama countryside, technical workshops started to rehabilitate the infrastructure that was damaged by the terrorist groups. In parallel, the army units found a factory for making explosive devices and seized large quantities of arms that included heavy and medium machine guns, RPGs, automatic rifles and ammunition. The army units also discovered tunnels that were used by the terrorists in their movements. Syrian army units carried out operations that resulted in destroying terrorists' hideouts and the weapons and ammunitions inside them in Douma, Daraya and Al-Mleha and Damascus suburbs. An official source said that the Syrian army eliminated a number of terrorist snipers in Al-Zaytun roundabout and Al-Alali area in Daraya. The source pointed out that the armed forces destroyed a number of SUV cars equipped with heavy machine guns and killed all the terrorists inside them.